Hi, it's Piper, and this video is going to be me creating the sword and the 2 daggers that I am going to do for a giveaway. Woo! If you're interested in the giveaway, the instructions and links will all be in the description below. The night elf costume was just a couple-day project I made just to go along with the swords and dagger. So I hope that you enjoy this video, and let's get into it. So if we're going to make a sword, first thing I have to do is, well, make the pattern for the sword. This sword was actually drawn by me over on my Twitch, just twitch.tv/burns. And basically I had my followers choose what the sword is going to look like. And that's what you all did. You all decided on the color, the shape, and everything like that. It's actually kind of funny because making the sword, it reminded me of the Tessaiga from Inuyasha, which is one of my favorite animes of all time. But it reminded me of that a lot. And I figured if I did the shape and the normal size that it would have been, it's not as fantasy as I would like. So I made it quite a bit bigger, and that's why it kind of looks like the Tessaiga. I hopefully will be releasing the pattern for the daggers soon. The sword, I think I might keep that pattern to myself and refine it and maybe release it later. But for the daggers, I definitely think that I might put that over up on my Etsy page. So keep an eye out for that if I decide to do it. So I just made my patterns and then plopped it onto some EVA foam. Something I want to say about the EVA foam is make sure that your craft knife or that your box cutter is nice and sharp, because when I started this, I didn't sharpen it and I was like, it'll be fine. But it just makes you have to do so much more work. So go ahead and sharpen that buddy and bring it out. And you can see me here just cutting out my shapes using my pattern. For the sword itself, I did it in 3 layers. 1 layer with 5mm foam, and then 2 other layers with 10mm foam. That way I could carve it better later. And I went through in the kinda center, as you can see, more to the side, and made a channel for the rod to fit in. I'm using this wooden dowel rod. It's nice, it's thick, it's durable. That way we have a handle and we have stability to the actual sword. You can see me just making sure that those all fit together, and I just added some glue, plopped it all together, as you can see there. I started off using E6000 glue, but in the middle of this I was like, forget that. Let's use some contact cement. So you can see me there with the E6000. I do recommend using contact cement. It's also just easier to sand down when you're using your Dremel or your rotary tool, easier to cut, because E6000 glue can get kind of gummy, and that's not what we want to happen to our machines. And I did the same thing for the other pieces of the sword for the hilt. I just did 3 separate pieces for them, although on that little star part I should have done 4 different pieces. So that is something I regret. I'm not perfect, but for that I should have done 4 separate pieces so that it'd be larger to better accommodate the sword. But you know, you live and you learn. And then from the seams, I just used some quick seal. You can use any other sealant that you want to get those cracks filled, but that's the one I did. And you can see in the corner there on the left, I have a couple of patterns that I was working out. And there's the daggers, woo! See, this is where I went in with the contact cement. It's also, you don't have to use as much because it spreads so thin, yet it's so strong. So that little squirt that I put on that piece ended up going onto a bunch of the other pieces because I can get away with that. And it's so much stronger. The wait time is just non-existent pretty much. It's pretty good stuff. And you see that I had the daggers there, and this is the rough cut of the sword. See how jagged it looks? Ugh. Trust me, the daggers were a lot better because I actually sharpened my knife. So that was a lot more dremeling and buffing and sanding I had to do. And you can see there, it was like pushing off my little sander. So definitely cut better and sharpen your knives. So then I decided to add on my details onto the, what are they called? Daggers. And also onto the sword, add some glue and start gluing pieces together. This is me gluing on the hilt of the sword, and I am going to have seams. You will have seams when you put stuff like this together. So again, make sure you have like a filler or sealant, and you can see that I did the same thing on those with that little white stuff. That's quick seal, and I primed these daggers with Mod Podge. Now I wouldn't necessarily seal like a breastplate or anything bendable that's going to be on your body with Mod Podge because it will crack eventually. But for something like this that you're not supposed to bend, it's pretty good because, you know, it's not going to. But I also took a thin layer of Plasti Dip. As you can see there, it's blue. I took some Plasti Dip and I put that onto the sword and the daggers as well, just a thin coating, just to make it all smooth. And you can see here that I am just painting. I'm just painting on details. I did one layer of the green paint, and then I went back in and added more layers of it. And that's pretty much it. I went ahead and added some pleather to the hilt and some fur and a little bit of extra detailing. But that is how I made this. Very simple, very easy.